Okay, so now here is a close-up of this collage that I made on this 24 by 38 inch masterboard. So since it's 24 inches in height, I'm going to trim it. I'm thinking either 4 pieces to get at 6 inches would give me 4 pieces, or 8 inches will give me 3. And then of course the length, and then I just have to figure out what am I going to do with each section. So I have a list that I've made of what we could make out of this, so I'll share that with you. Let me turn it over and then I'll show you what I did on the other side. So you can see I use this flower stamp, a word stamp, sentiment stamp, painted metallic leaves on here using a stamp as well, a butterfly and a dragonfly. And then I came in with tea dyed, coffee dyed, and then paint splotches. So you see the blue here, the orange here, the white here. Okay, so now this is the other side, and I used a butterfly stamp. I came in with gesso and this leaf pattern and this flower pattern, and coffee dyed, tea dyed, used the same word sentiment that I used on the other side, and then I used different stamps, vintage button and heart, and then paint splotches. I did this differently with just a brush. So this is just pouncing with the brush of different metallics, gold and copper. Still came in with the blue paint, and I don't know, I'm looking to see, I did silver, so copper, gold, and silver, and then the gesso. So I pretty well, and then I covered it really, I mean, I wanted to really just, you know, stamp all over it, and then gesso in it. I did like a pattern with the leaf and then the flower, and then just all in between, paint all over it, and then came back with the stamping. And I just used black Distress Oxide for the stamps, and the metallic paint is this brand here that I bought off of Amazon. So it came in a box with, I can't remember now how many were in the box, but anyway. And then this is the gesso that I use, and then my Distress Oxide, the black soot, and then the stamps that I used. These were the stamps, and then this was the word sentiment that I used. You can use any word sentiment that you wanted to. I don't really have a lot of wording stamps with like this. I have like one single words, you know, gratitude, sunshine, you know, all that kind of thing. And this was my butterfly stamp. So like on here it says be your own sunshine, and then just these little, may all your wishes come true, you know. So I mean, that's why I just decided, you know, let me go through it and pick out something. So those were the supplies that I used to make it. And then now the back drop of the whole thing, all of these papers, was I went into my paper scrap bag, and then that's what I used to glue down all these pieces. So look at all this. Now I had a paper pad of black and white that I really didn't like. I used it for one customer's project. So now this is the original, but now look what it looks like when I coffee and tea dyed it and then came in with the paint and the gesso. So I mean, it's really, you know, quite toned down, and that's what I wanted. So these were the sizes of the strips of scraps that I had. So that's what you're seeing here for the most part. Some were a little longer, Some might be shorter. I might have torn some, but for the most part they were a little bit longer than this piece, just by a little bit. So that's what I used. This was all the foundation piecing, like I said. And then I just used my tacky glue. Aleene's tacky glue is what I used to glue it all down. And a brush, and then just glued it and got everything pretty much, you know, some of the corners like here, you know, not everything is completely, but that's okay. Not everything is completely glued down, because once I cut it, and then I'm probably going to stitch around it and things like that, so that any of the loose edges will be stitched, and then that's going to take care of that. So now the fun part begins of me cutting these, and like I said, so I definitely want to do it, so I'm either going to do it, because I was thinking like a journal cover size, 6-inch, so like what, a 6 by 8. So if I do 6 inches tall, and then do 8, so I could do a strip section of 8-inch, and then do a section of 6-inch. So then that could make up the 24 inches. So that may be what I do. So let me do that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it, and then we're going to start making little projects with it. So don't go anywhere. Okay, so I have them now cut into sections, and I did 3 sections. One is 6 inches, the next one is 8.5, and then the last one is 9 inches. So I liked that size. I thought that would be a nice size for journal covers. This one is a nice size for tags. I can cut this even down smaller to make 3-inch tags or 4-inch tags. And this is also great for a mini journal cover. So I thought, you know, just think about what it is you want to do with it, and then you'll be able to know what size you want to cut yours down to. Okay, so if I want a 6-inch, let's say a 6 by 6 journal cover, so then I know I'm going to need a 12-inch piece. So we'll have 6 inches in height, but then we'll have our 12 inches in length. So I'm going to turn this over here, and then I will measure it off at the 12-inch mark. So I'll make a little mark here, and then I'll make a little mark here, and then I'll do the same thing over here. So you definitely want to make sure when you go to start the project that all of your ends and things are even. So anything that is not going to be counted in that measurement. So I'm going to go ahead and count that part there. Okay, so now looking at it right here. Okay, so I'm seeing 12 inches there, but when I go up here, it looks like my line is off quite a bit. So here's the 12-inch line here. Let me slide it all the way up. Yeah, it's off just a wee bit. So I'm going to just bring it over, and then go ahead and mark that down here. Mark that there. Okay. So now I know I have 12 inches, and I'm just going to take a very sharp pair of scissors. Alright, so now here I've just created, now I can look at this and decide, do I want this to be the outside piece, or do I want this to be the outside piece? And I think I'm going to go with the lighter color since this has got a lot of the darker down here. I mean, I love the gesso, so it just depends on, maybe I'll do it like this because then that way I can see where I'm sewing as well. Alright, so now we're going to bend this evenly. So let's see if we can kind of help it along here. So I'm using the end of my ruler and I'm just kind of folding it so that I can get it to bend. So we have the kraft paper, as you can see a little bit of it here, and then we have multiple layers of papers front and back. So at least 3 layers are here. And then when you go to, add your glue, that makes it get a little stiffer. But it's amazing. And then the paint and the gesso, all of those little elements start to add up into the weight of this whole project. Okay, so I'm trying to line up the 2 ends. So with this piece I need to bring it down a little bit here and a little bit here so that they line up. And then I'm going to get one of my clips. Hopefully it will keep it from moving on me. Okay, so when I look at it front and back, okay, this corner, so I'm just going to line up the corners and then push it and then just go down with my finger here. So I'm holding it really tight here so that I can line it up here, and I'm going to do the same thing with this. So I'm just making sure that these corners are lined up. Take that off there for a minute. Need to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. And the same thing here. Put my clip back on. Okay, that's good there. Okay, so this corner I'm happy with. So I'm going to put another clip here. And now this one here. So I mean, you don't have to be as precise with yours as I'm trying to be here, but at the same time, it does help. Okay, now again, just squish, mash, push. Everything you know to do. Okay, because we have, this is a very thick. So this is going to be interesting going through my sewing machine. The way it feels, I wish this was feel-o-vision. We always say smell-o-vision, but I wish it was feel-o-vision so that you could actually feel how this turns out. So the kraft paper is not a, I mean, it has a little bit of a weight to it, but I would not say it's maybe along the lines of a cardstock, but a thin cardstock. I mean, you know what I'm saying. It's kind of like a brown paper bag. That's what it basically was. Paper. Not, it wasn't a brown paper bag, but I mean that kind of brown paper. But buddy, it feels like it's really thick already. Okay, see, I'll peel it up here. Okay, so here's the glue. And I'm wondering if it's just the glue that's making it feel so stiff. It must be, because I mean, I had to use a lot of glue, so that's probably what it is. So the glue has added that extra stiffness to it. But that's fine because, you know, we want our covers to be, you know, nice. All right, so now I folded it in the middle, and then, okay, so this piece actually goes down here, but that'll be fine because I am going to sew it, believe it or not. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to make all of the elements. So out of this first long sheet, okay, so I have one journal cover. So I was able to get a journal cover out of it. So I'm sure you're already beginning to see the possibilities of what crafting and making a huge masterboard this size will help you to achieve. So one journal cover, I could do another journal cover, I can do tuck spots, I can do tags. So what I was thinking is, okay, let's measure this out as if it were a 6x6 piece of paper. Let's say if we had a paper pad that's 6x6. Okay, so this is like, it's just a little wee bit over there. Let me see what this is here. Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's not perfectly even. So like when I flip it over and then I measure, because this piece here I didn't glue a piece right there. So I could come in and put something here. And then down here is another piece here. Okay. So let's say if we had a 6x6, we're not worrying about the fact that it's not precisely even. So we're just going to do a 6x6. I'm going to cut out a 6x6 section and show you what we can achieve from a little tiny 6x6 piece. All right, so let's cut a 6x6 piece and let's see how many tags. Let's just make tags out of this first section. Okay, so 6x6. So we're going to just do it in increments like this. I hate to cut the butterfly right there on his little wing, but gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, so now boy, is that the most uneven. So it's like from one end to the other, 6 inches. 6 inches is there. But then when I come here, 6 inches is there, but it doesn't seem like it's lining up. So when I go to line it up, I wish I had a, you know what they need to make? Do they even have such a thing? I'm gonna look into this. It just came to me, and I don't know if any of you girls have ever thought about this. There has to be a level ruler. A ruler with a level on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to find one of those because I am tired of cutting things and not knowing if it's level or not, even, you know. And then when you go from one end to the other and you measure and you see it isn't straight and, you know, level, I'm like, okay. And if there's not such a thing, I'm going to have my husband make me one. Okay, so 6 inches here. And a little shy, you'll see it's just a wee bit, look at that, just a smidgen, not even an eighth off. Okay, so here's perfectly, okay, but that's fine, no problem. Okay, so this is going to be tags. So now, obviously I don't want a 6-inch tag, so let's think about a tag. So this is the journal now, here's the journal cover. And we're going to make these embellishments. We're going to make embellishments to go in our journal. So we're going to have a signature that I'll make a signature. And then we're going to use this for embellishing. So let's think this through. And it's already going on, got so much going on here on the front, but never fear. So I can have, let's see, 3, if I did it 3 across, then that's going to give me 4 tags. So right away I can say, okay, well, we'll just do 3-inch tags, but then that could work. A 3-inch tag could work. If I go to a 4-inch or 3.5-inch tag, now that's a little bit better. And then I'll have a smaller piece, and then I could maybe do a taller tag like that. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so we're going to cut this at 3.5. right there on this side and right here on this side. And then 3.5 here. Okay, turn it around and try to draw a straight line with these marks that I just made that are supposed to be at the 3.5 place. Okay, now we're going to cut this. So one project from, and I like this already. Okay, so now this is nice. Okay, so this can be, all right, here's a signature, and then here's this. So this can be a pocket. This could be the pocket, and then I can cut this down and have a tag, 3-inch and 3-inch tag. Let's see, do I want one that small? Do I want it to be a 4-inch tag? So I'm thinking, okay, glue it there, glue it there. So let's go with the 4-inch tag, okay. So now I've just made a pocket and a tag out of that 6-inch section. I'm going to do a 4-inch tag here. Okay, so now here we are. We have the pocket, we have the tag, and keep in mind these are still going to be embellished further. I'm going to stitch all the way around the edges of these. So I'm going to take these now to the machine, and I'm going to stitch all the way around them and hold these pieces in place, and then we will make the signature for the middle of this. Okay, so here we are. This is what we've got so far. So we have a 6x6 journal cover made from a 6x12 piece of this giant masterboard collage. And there's a pocket here, and a tag. And then as you can see, I stitched all the way around, and I zigzagged when I attached this pocket, and then a straight stitch on top of that other straight stitch. Now for here, to get this little pocket here, so I've glued it on 3 sides, and because this is so thick, I'm having to use these really nice clamps, and then I'm just coming in here and I keep pressing on this to make sure that that's going to stay put. And then hopefully all of this will dry in place and it will hold once I get the tag. I'll put another one there just to be, these aren't really, they don't really hold it that close. I had another metal tag somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Oops. What am I? Paper clips. Okay, let's see. It's not in there. It's not in there. It's a different color and it's a different kind, but I'm not seeing what little pocket. I thought I had it put here somewhere, but looking on my little Lazy Susan tray, this thing is so nice. If you haven't picked up one of those are a really nice addition to your craft room. Alright, well, I'm not seeing it on my little tray here, so I don't know where I put him. Is he under there? Nope. Okay, so anyway, at any rate, this should hold it. So we'll just let that set and dry up. So while this is setting up, let's look at the rest of the strip and see what we can do with it. Okay, slide the rulers out of the way here. All right, now I have a 23.5-inch piece remaining. So this was such a great idea. I mean, embellishing your scraps and then making a giant collage masterboard out of it. You can do that on a piece of poster board. You can get butcher paper. You can get a roll of kraft paper. They do sell that by the roll. Or like me, if you have packaging and you're recycling the packaging, you can do that as well. Oh, this is so pretty. Look at that. Look at how the metallic gold leaves and the metallic green leaf pattern is on here. Is so pretty. It just adds that nice shimmer to the page. And then the blue paint and the orange paint and the white paint. And then on this side, the gesso. Just a beautiful and colorful. So every section, because of the papers I put in, you get a different look. So let me figure out what we're going to do with this section, and then we'll start cutting it up. Okay, so we never can have enough greeting cards ready to go for whatever the occasion is that we may need it for. Get well, sympathy, graduation, baptism, anniversary, baby shower. You get the idea. So I have card blanks that were in some card kits that I had purchased from Crafter's Companion off of QVC. And these are the four sizes that were in this particular kit. So now I'm going to use these and cut down the fronts of this collage to fit onto the card. So now these two are already really a nice big size, and they'll fit right on top of that beautifully. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And then again, to get it to adhere, I'm going to sew it. So we're going to take this over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew that in place. So obviously I will open up the card, and then I will sew that onto there. Okay, so the first one, I'm going to just come in a little bit. I want to leave a little bit of a border. And I'm thinking. I might come in behind it with the black cardstock. Here's a green that I just happen to have handy. Let me just throw it on here. Okay, so if I cover up the white altogether, put the green on it, that kind of looks okay. Or I could leave the white and then just ink around the edges. I think that's what I'll do. Okay, so we're going to just lay it on here. So you can do the same thing. If you happen to have any card blanks, then you can use those in the same way. If you don't have card blanks, but you have cardstock, just get your white cardstock or your cream colored cardstock, whatever cardstock you want to use. You can even use dark, and then just use a white piece of copy paper on the inside to write your message on. Okay, so I'm going to have to cut into the gesso part here, but that's okay. And any of these areas that I didn't get covered completely, I'm not worried about. I'm just going to come in and embellish that, do whatever I want to do. Okay, so this is just about a 6. Yeah, it's a 6 by 6. Okay, so we don't want it to be 6 by 6. And this is shorter than 6 by 6, so that's already going good there. All right, so let's bring it down to 5 3/4. Okay, I'm just going to use this line, and I am going to just more or less go down here like that. And then I'm going to come over here and see, is it 5 3/4? Pretty close. So now let me get my sharp scissors. Where did I move it? I wanted to get as much light in here as I could, as I had to move the caddy off of this one right corner so the sunlight could come through. I'm right in front of a window, so I should have really good lighting, and I put in a second bulb in the light overhead, so there's two now, so it should give me some really good lighting here. All right, okay. Now I'm going to trim up this edge here. Just trying to clean it up a little bit. And I can see already at the top that that's not even either. And I'm going to clean it up down here at the bottom. So just make any little adjustments that you need to make with your card until you get it exactly the way you like it. But this is so pretty. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love this whole front of this card. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to come in with my machine, and all around these edges I'm just going to do some stitching. So I'm going to put this on here. So we're not going to do every card front, but I just wanted to give you this example so you get the idea of how to do this. And that's right there. I need to trim that off so you don't see that. And come across here below there. Let's see if that's a little bit better now. Okay, so that's better. I like that. Okay, and then now down here, so I just need to, okay, and then, all right, so the sides need to be cleaned up a little bit more. Okay, that's better. Now I like it. Okay, very good. So first I will go all the way around the edges, attach that to the card, and then I will come back. Well, no, first, back up. First I will stitch all of this in here, any of these loose edges. Then I will go to the machine and stitch the whole thing all the way around the edges in place. So let me do that and I'll come back. But now this piece here, this is another large size that I like. And so we can do the same thing with this piece, and I can put this here. So now I can come behind it with another color cardstock, which I'll probably do the black, and then that'll be give me a border around this since this is a little bit smaller. And so that'd be perfect. So let me see, where do I want this to be? So the width on this card is 5 inches. So we will do 4 3/4, but I'm going to do it this way. So we will trim going from this side. It's actually just a little bit. See where, okay, I see now. All right, so no, I do want to go this way. Okay, so first of all, I know I keep messing around with the ruler, but I have to figure this out as I'm thinking, what am I doing? Once I realize what am I doing, then I can, okay, so we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to lay the ruler down here, then I'll come here. Now we shall trim it, getting as close to it as I can. I'm staying on this side of it. needs a little bit more. I'm going to trim off a little bit over on this side. Okay, let me see. All right, that's good. All right, so now I'm going to trim up this at the bottom, clean up any of that excess because I'm not going to, I already like this. Okay. All right, that's fine for right now what I want. So I will do the black and then see if I want to trim this down any more, but that will be that piece. But isn't that pretty? That's going to be so pretty. So then that's another idea. So now we've come up with a journal cover, tag, a pocket, tuck spot, and now we have card front embellishments all ready to go. And so once get this all put together, then now it'll be a beautiful card. So I have 2 sympathy cards to make, so I'm going to use these for the sympathy cards, and then I will just take one of my embellishments that I have for the sympathy and put those on the front, and I'll just use maybe a solid color cardstock behind it. We'll have to see, but look at the beautiful metallics that are already here, and then the gesso. Just a beautiful card, an original card that nobody else on the planet has. So you made it, and when you send it, they will love it. All right, so now with this one, I'm thinking that I might trim this whole thing up right here. So let's see what we would get. So that was going to be almost 5 3/4. So let's measure down here and see what we have. Yep, 5 3/4. So that's odd, 5 3/4. But when I measured this, it's right above 5 3/4, but it doesn't seem like it's so long down here. I just don't understand how that is coming out looking like that. But at any rate, so if I could put this through my guillotine, but I know that that would not work. That wouldn't come out the way I would want it to come out. So I'm going to lay this here. And then I'm going to just use my pen. And I'm going to come here. And then come below this. So that I'm making sure that I'm getting measure that. Double checking it. Okay, so I think we're good on this one. Ta-da! Oh, isn't that gorgeous? So pretty. Okay, now, so I'm thinking that I don't know if I want to do another journal with this one or do a tags. So it'd be a little bit taller than a normal tag that we would do, so right about 5 1/2. What else could we do with this? We could do a corner pocket maybe. So if I'd cut it on an angle here, and then that whole section would be the corner pocket. Do the same thing here. That whole section would be the corner pocket. All right, let's see what the length of this one is now. So we have 12.5. 12 almost, yeah, because I can see I need to straighten this end. Okay, so 12.5, we'll say 12.5. So I could make another journal cover out of it. That would be pretty. Folded at 6 1/4, thinking. So that's a possibility. I could do that. So I can just right here. I can already see this part right here is just way out, way off. There we go. That looks a little better. And this part right here looks like it's a little bit off. Not much, but just a smidge. You don't realize how shaky your hands are until you go to try to cut and you can't get the scissors to be still. That's how I know. It's like, why is it jumping all over the place? And I'm not nervous. It's just that I have this shake now. Comes with age, I'm finding. Many of you probably have the same thing. Trimmers, I think they call them trimmers. But I mean, if I were to have my hands out like this, okay, you see my thumb a little bit, but I mean, it's just like I get that once in a while. Now I can get it steady. But sometimes it'll do that. Okay, so now if I do this as a journal cover, that's going to be the inside. And then this will be the outside. So let's take a look at our other journal. Okay, so then I did the dark on the outside of this one, and I left the, actually had the, just was the where the papers landed on this one actually. So when I got to this point of the collage, it was more of the, I was running out of those black and white papers, obviously. So let's do that. I like that. I'm just going to fold this. So try to see if I can get it to where I want it to. Boy, this thing is so stiff. I would have never thought it was going to turn out so stiff. But again, like I said before, it's because of all the glue. Just amazing how that happened. You don't know these things until we do it, and then we're like, hey, guess what? This is what's going to happen when you collage. Now see, the difference is because I collaged both sides. So that's where it's coming from. If I would only collaged one side, then you would not have gotten this thickness, but that's where it's coming from. So keep that in mind if you're going to do a double collage like I did, you're going to be running into this. But this is fine because, again, like I said, it gives us that sturdy cover that we want anyway. So we wind up layering it when we do the covers. Anywho, so that's actually perfect. But I just want you to know it's very, very stiff. I mean, look, it can stand up on its own, no problem whatsoever. Okay, so I love this. Now, when I coffee dyed and tea dyed, I put mine in a spray bottle. I happen to have all these spray bottles I had purchased years ago, and I kept them in the closet. So I diluted the paint down. I used acrylic paint, and I diluted it in water. And probably, I don't even know, 1/3 of a cup of water. It was just, I eyed it. I didn't measure anything. So 1/3 of a cup of water, I would estimate, and maybe a couple of tablespoons of the paint. Put the lid on it and swished it all around till it mixed in well together, and then sprayed it. And it worked out perfect. I mean, you can see it was just absolutely perfect. I love that. So there's another tip for you of how you can do that. Just, I love the whole look of it. And then the tea dye and the coffee dye, I did the same thing. I made brewed the tea, boiled my water, put the instant coffee in it, and then poured those into the spray bottles as well. And then I just sprayed. Oh, so pretty. Isn't this gorgeous? I'm really loving this whole texture and technique and how it turned out. It's just like absolutely gorgeous. And what gave me the idea to come back with the metallic paints is on this paper, it was like a world map scene, and it was in gold metallic. So that's when I said, oh, I'm going to get my metallic paints and I'm going to add some images. So I stamped on it, and you know, look, I mean, you can see even with the paint, you can see the leaf pattern. It turned out really pretty. It's just, you know, so pretty. And then over here, because I did the gesso first, and then I came in with the blobs of the metallic paint, and then it was just, you know, gorgeous. And then where I stamped over that once it was dry with the black, and it just gives it such a beautiful, look at how the butterfly mixed with that. So the combination and the wording, I mean, it's just, everything just flows together so beautifully. So this one I'll do the same thing. I'll probably first stitch all the way around the edges like I did on the other one, and then I may just use glue, but if it's not wanting to stay down, then I'll just run some stitches over it. Like this edge here, I'll need to stitch that. This edge here, I'll stitch it. This one seems like but right here it's a little bit more here too. Okay. All right, so there you go. That is what you can do with all your scraps. Embellish your scraps on a masterboard, a giant masterboard, and then what would you do with the giant? You know, now you've got this giant piece, you know, now what are you going to do with it? So you would, you know, think about it if it was just an 8.5 by 11, or if it was just a 12 by 12. So you're going to cut that down. So now we have card fronts, we have tags, we have tuck spots, we have journal covers. So pockets, I mean, you can make so many things, but just beautiful embellishments from your scrap paper. So now this used up a big portion of my scrap paper. I mean, I'm down to just a little bit of my scrap papers now, so I'm really proud of myself and what I accomplished. So if I get another piece of that craft paper like that, now I'm looking at it in a whole new light. And you can even do that on 12 by 12 paper that you don't like. Just take your scraps and collage all over the top of the paper you don't like, and now you'll have a beautiful masterboard collage thing too, and then come back behind it and paint on it, stencil on it, coffee and tea dye it, and stamp on it. You'll have just a beautiful masterpiece when you're done. That's all. That's, you know, your unique masterpiece. Let's see if this is dried yet. We'll check on it one last time before I say farewell for today. And I'm so glad to be back in my craft room, talking with you and crafting with you today. I love leaving all the strings. You know how I like that. I like it. It just gives that messy element to it that I like. I don't know. Just something about it. I like that. So I need to make a little something to go in here. I don't know what that's going to be yet. Okay, it's not quite dry. Don't go mashing and pulling on it yet, Marcia. It's not ready. Okay, there we go. All right, it's going to be beautiful. And then this piece here, I love this. I just love the whole thing. I'll put a piece of plain paper on the back of that to journal onto there. Oh yeah, but I love the whole thing. So now it's just to make the signature, and second video will be part 2 of this, embellishing your scraps and then what to do with them. So we'll make a signature in the next video, but I'm still not up to par yet from my surgery, so I need to go take a nap. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Keep creating in the sunshine, and I hope you'll join my creative community here. Stay safe. Bye-bye.